started. Welcome everyone to the ADSY Planning and Execution Program Grant webinar. We're excited to have you with us today as we explore opportunities to extend learning time through ADSY Summer and ADSY Full Year. My name is Rashama Belazar, and I am the Manager of Additional Days School Year at TEA. My team sits within the Division of Expanded Learning Models at TEA, led by Brian Doran, the Director of Expanded Learning Models. Joining me today will be Erica Stewart, the ADSY Summer Learning Project Manager. Erica will be supporting this webinar by answering your questions as you have them via the Q&A function in Zoom. And you'll get to hear from Erica Stewart later this afternoon as she closes us out by walking us through the ADSY Summer model, the ADSY PEP grant requirements, as well as closing us out with some critical LASO 4 reminders as well. Let's go through some housekeeping items first. During this webinar, we'll start off with an overview of the LASO Cycle 4 portfolio and share broadly what this opportunity looks like for every school system across the state. We'll then go into a deeper why for this specific grant opportunity and dive deeper into what you can expect from the ADSY Planning and Execution Program grant. Finally, we'll highlight a couple of universal next steps for the application process and timely reminders for all school systems. We will not be able to take questions live, so please use the Zoom Q&A function to submit your questions, and our team is going to work diligently to answer questions in the Q&A box during this webinar. All questions will be recorded and added to a future LASO FAQ document, which will be published on the LASO website on November 3rd, 2025. All webinar slides and recordings will be posted on the LASO Cycle 4 website after all webinars are completed. For any follow-up questions about the LASO application process after this webinar, please email the LASO team at laso@tea.texas.gov. We'll start with an overview of LASO Cycle 4. LASO Cycle 4 is a single consolidated application that combines grants, allotments, and in-kind supports bundled around a few key strategies to accelerate academic gains. There are $500 million worth of estimated services and supports across 15 initiatives to support learning acceleration and innovation via LASO. You'll find that the 15 opportunities offered via LASO Cycle 4 are anchored in 4 learning acceleration strategies: curriculum and instruction, education and training, more time, and innovative school models. The LASO Cycle 4 portfolio has several initiatives that span multiple years. This table on the screen displays the funding view for all 15 opportunities, with the total allocation across all years, beginning with the LASO Cycle 4 timeline and including continuation grants where applicable. For example, you'll see here that ADSY PEP is a grant program spanning 2 to 3 years, depending on the grade level band you're applying for, and we'll dive deeper into that in the coming slides. We're going to go ahead and get started then with the ADSY Planning and Execution overview by starting with background information on what got this initiative started and the foundation essentially for the planning supports. This slide may be familiar to many, but it is particularly relevant when discussing ADSY because it represents the foundational research underpinning our approach. Research has shown that student achievement levels tend to drop during the summer months, a phenomenon that is commonly referred to as summer slide. This decline in achievement can widen the gap between low-income and high-income students by up to 3 grade levels by the time that they reach 5th grade. Before we dive into the ADSY Planning and Execution Program grant, we want to take a moment to walk through ADSY itself, which serves as the foundation for the ADSY PEP grant. ADSY is an initiative that is designed to combat summer learning loss, so the summer slide that we were just talking through earlier by providing formula funding to school systems that add up to 30 additional days to their school year beyond the minimum requirement. ADSY formula funding is a statewide opportunity that any eligible school systems can tap into, provided that they meet the base calendar eligibility requirements. They host ADSY days for eligible students and submit those days via the PEAMS extended year submission following the school year in which the ADSY days were hosted. This slide outlines the base date requirements for general ADSY participation for all school systems. So recent legislative updates have expanded ADSY eligibility to include grades 6 through 8, lowered the base calendar requirement from 180 days to 175 days, and increased funding opportunities for campuses that add more instructional days through the 3/4 day formula funding pathway. To qualify, campuses must now serve at least one grade level within grades pre-K through 8. The base academic calendar will include the minimum of 175 instructional days with at least 75,600 operational minutes, excluding any minutes covered by staff development waivers. And so now we have more detail on how school systems should set up their base calendar and their ADSY days, which is dependent on which of the two formula funding pathways that the school system will be pursuing for the eligible campus. So to generate half-day formula funding, so half-day ADSY formula funding, that's the purple column on the left. That campus that's serving the grade levels pre-K through 8 must add between 1 and 30 additional half days of instruction beyond the 175-day base calendar. So what this means for this formula funding pathway is that a campus could add as little as one ADSY day beyond the minimum 175-day threshold and have that one day generate formula funding once submitted in PEAMS. For the half-day formula funding pathway, a teacher meeting the school system's certification requirements must deliver at least 2 hours of instruction for each added day. For the 3/4 day formula funding pathway, so this is this deep blue column on the right, it's available to campuses that have a total of at least 200 full instructional days in the calendar. So this total can include the ADSY days, but the campus must operate that base academic calendar for all campus instructional tracks with 175 full instructional days and that meeting that minimum 75,600 operational minutes. The campuses that are pursuing the 3/4 day formula funding must then add between 25 and 30 additional full days beyond the base calendar to meet the 200-day threshold. The ADSY days must include at least 4 hours of instruction delivered by a teacher meeting the school system certification requirements. And finally, for both pathways, ADSY days must be scheduled separately from the regular calendar days. So they can't be hosted as part of a regular school day. For example, they can't occur at the second half of a standard instructional day. So what the ADSY planning and execution program does is provide grant-supported opportunity for school systems to access ADSY formula funding and add days in a way that's aligned to research. And we'll talk through what that looks like for ADSY full year, as well as what it looks like for ADSY summer. So there are 3 TE identified models for calendar design. This grant supports ADSY summer. So this is a summer learning, summer enrichment program, as well as the ADSY full year redesign. And so school systems are going to be able to apply for grant support for either ADSY summer or ADSY full year redesign via the ADSY planning and execution program grant. So we've talked through the problem that ADSY aims to solve through more time, which is summer learning loss, which compounds over time for students from low-income backgrounds. We've talked through the opportunity to combat summer learning loss via ADSY, which provides a statewide opportunity for eligible campuses to generate either half-day or 3/4 day formula funding. Now we'll talk through the ADSY planning and execution program. So this is this box that's highlighted in green, which is designed to support school systems with not only tapping into the three-quarter state formula funding, but also to do so in a high quality research aligned way that has been shown to deliver results for students. ADSY PEP students tend to outperform their peers and star performance trends. And so we'll talk through what that data also tells us about students who participate in a grant-supported ADSY program. All right, we've talked through this background, so we're going to dive deeper into the ADSY planning and execution program. So ADSY PEP is a grant program that supports interested school systems with implementing research-based extended learning programs through either ADSY full year or ADSY summer learning, while generating ADSY formula funding to utilize long-term. This grant is designed to help strengthen ADSY formula funding implementation, and school systems can access ADSY funding if they meet ADSY requirements with or without participation in the ADSY PEP grant, but the grant does help support with aligning to a research aligned or research-based program. School systems that are participating in the ADSY PEP grant are going to engage in a year-long strategic planning process. They're going to receive technical assistance and professional development from extended learning experts as they prepare their ADSY programs. So again, high-quality, evidence-based ADSY programs help prevent summer learning loss. And since its inception 4 years ago, ADSY PEP has demonstrated clear evidence, which shows that students who do participate in grant-supported ADSY programs outperform their peers that do not. We'll share more about the gains we're seeing for students participating in grant-supported ADSY programs in the next slide. And so campuses that are serving students in grade pre-K through 8 are eligible for grant funding and will design a research-aligned ADSY program while generating ADSY formula funding. As we look at the outcomes by ADSY model, the data tells us a powerful story about the impact of both ADSY PEP Summer and ADSY Full Year Redesign programs. First, let's orient ourselves to the graph. The orange bar represents non-ADSY students statewide. The blue bar shows ADSY PEP Summer participants. The purple bar indicates ADSY Full Year Redesign participants, while the green bar indicates ADSY students who participated, but without grant support. What's important to note is that ADSY students typically start from a lower baseline in STAR performance, meaning a smaller percentage of students initially meet grade level expectations in math and reading. Yet, despite this, students participating in ADSY PEP Summer and ADSY Full Year Redesign grant-supported programs achieved significantly larger gains in 2023 compared to their peers, which is what you're seeing here in this graph in front of you. So in math, statewide, students saw a modest percentage increase in 2023, and those meeting the grade level standards. ADSY PEP Summer participants saw a 10 percentage point increase. ADSY Full Year Redesign saw an 11 percentage point increase, and even non-grant ADSY students saw a 5 percentage point increase. In reading statewide, there was a 3 percentage point decline, while ADSY PEP Summer participants outperformed that trend with a 3 percentage point increase, and ADSY Full Year outperformed that trend with a 1 percentage point increase, and non-grant ADSY students saw a slight decline of 1 percentage point. So, and also, although not shown on this slide, it's worth mentioning that in the 23-24 school year, students attending ADSY programming continued to outperform state trends and growth rates for both math and reading STAR, even though the gains were not as dramatic as what we're seeing on this slide. So the key takeaway for us here is that ADSY PEP Summer and ADSY Full Year are not just about adding days, they're delivering results. The data demonstrates that when campuses leverage grant-supported, research-aligned, extended learning models, students see real, measurable academic growth, which is why we're excited to offer these opportunities through LASO 4 and why we encourage eligible campuses to consider applying for ADSY PEP support. When applying to ADSY PEP, there are two models that school systems can select from in LASO 4. So there's ADSY Full Year Redesign and ADSY Summer Learning. As we move into the third tier of this diagram, you'll see the different options for applicants based on the eligible grade levels. So for grades pre-K through 5, this is for campuses that have never drawn down ADSY formula funding under a previous ADSY PEP grant participation. There is grades 6 through 8, which is for previous ADSY PEP participants that are seeking grant support to expand into grades 6 through 8. So remember that for ADSY, this eligibility piece for grades 6 through 8 is new under House Bill 2 from the 89th legislative session. And so these previous ADSY PEP participants are going to have the opportunity to expand into grades 6 through 8. So what is true for ADSY summer is also true for ADSY full year. So grades pre-K through 5, as well as grades 6 through 8 for this expansion opportunity. This slide also shows the anticipated number of grantees within each model. We anticipate awarding approximately 30 ADSY summer grantees and approximately 6 ADSY full year grantees. Let's now talk through the ADSY full year model and what this is going to look like throughout the grant program for ADSY PEP. The first cohort we want to talk about, again, is ADSY full year. So this is for districts that are interested in going all in on the ADSY model with an innovative learning experience for students year-round. Campuses are going to have the opportunity to creatively reimagine the typical school day, exploring new strategies that can benefit both students and teachers. ADSY Full Year leverages the 25 plus ADSY days by strategically embedding them into the regular school year calendar to create a revamped 200 plus day calendar. This allows the campus to increase daily and weekly teacher planning time, maximizing teacher sustainability and avoiding burnout. And simultaneously, it allows for an increased time allocation for student brain breaks and enrichment, and enabling a better student day-to-day experience. Here we have an example of how an ADSY day may look like for your campus. Notice here that Wednesdays in this example are strategically changed to meet the needs of students and teachers. ADSY days are strategically designed to have more time for brain breaks and 90 minutes for students to engage in project-based learning. Instead of the 290 minutes of traditional instruction, an ADSY day instruction is focused on accelerated learning time and reading and math. The key here is the freedom and flexibility for your campus to address individual needs of students during the school day. Now we're going to review the 3-year grant implementation roadmap for new ADSY full year pre-K through 5 campuses awarded under ADSY PEP. So year 1 here, we'll start on the left, focuses on planning and readiness and will feature key activities by the school systems, such as completing an ADSY full year strategic plan, developing the 2027-2028 master schedule that's aligned to the ADSY theory of change for the participating campus. They're going to be focusing on securing school board sign-off on the 27-28 campus calendar. And this is, again, to continue to meet the ADSY eligibility requirements. School systems that are able to successfully complete their planning year may apply for year 2 continuation or implementation funding. And then once we reach year 2, campuses are going to be able to implement that planned master schedule. And part of this year is going to feature key activities like implementing that master schedule, analyzing student attendance and student growth, engaging in program visits and observation feedback with your approved technical assistance provider, and generating and sharing an impact report of what you're seeing on the campus. Again, this is gonna also feature securing board approval for the 28-29 calendar to continue to ensure that the calendar is meeting ADSY eligibility requirements so that you can continue to generate formula funding for that campus. And then school systems that successfully complete their implementation year, so that's year 2, will be able to apply for year 3 continuation funding. And so year 3 is going to focus on sustainability and continuous reflection. And so by going through this year 3 process, school systems are going to, in year 3, continue implementing their refined master schedule that's aligned to the ADSY full year theory of change. They're going to continue analyzing student outcomes, conducting satisfaction surveys, and creating a sustainability plan and participating in the ADSY PEP exit interview. Throughout all 3 years, grantees are going to receive ongoing support via monthly professional development access, one-on-one technical assistance from your approved provider, and strategic plan feedback from ADSY PEP full year experts. So this structured timeline ensures that campuses are not only implementing the ADSY full year model with fidelity, but also building the capacity for long-term success. Let's take a look at the funding timeline for campuses serving grades pre-K through 5 for ADSY full year and how it reflects a tapered down sustainability-centered approach for supports. So in year 1, so that's 26-27, so at your LASO 4 award, campuses are going to receive an initial award of $250,000. This funding supports the foundational activities such as strategic planning, master scheduling development, stakeholder engagement, laying that groundwork for implementation support. And then school systems that do successfully complete year 1 are going to be able to apply for continuation funding for year 2. So that's in the 27-28 school year. You'll have this $200,000 awarded and to support implementation. And then year 3, you'll have $150,000 that is awarded to continue to support that last year of grant supported implementation. This tiered funding model not only supports implementation, but also helps reinforce that long-term vision for ADSY, which is to empower these campuses to sustain expanded learning opportunities beyond the life of the grant. And so remember, in addition to this grant funding, as you're hosting those ADSY days, you're also submitting them in PEAMS to continue to generate the ADSY formula funding that serves as that foundation for this grant program. With the passage of House Bill 2, we're excited again to offer this opportunity for the ADSY full year pilot for grades 6 through 8. So this expansion allows middle school campuses to engage in a structured 2-year planning and implementation process that's designed to build a sustainable ADSY full year program at campuses that are serving grades 6 through 8. So note here that the planning year and the implementation supports are going to look the same as those that are in the pre-K through 5 cohort. The only difference is that the grade 6 through 8 expansion pilot does not feature continuation funding or grant supports for the 28-29 school year. This slide outlines the funding structure for campuses participating in the ADSY full year expansion pilot for grades 6 through 8. Again, the 6 through 8 expansion pilot is open only to school systems with prior ADSY PEP participation that are seeking to expand to grades 6 through 8. ADSY full year funding for grantees awarded in this expansion pilot totals $250,000 for both years combined. And we anticipate awarding up to 4 award spots for qualified previous ADSY PEP participants that are applying for both ADSY full year and ADSY summer in this grade 6 through 8 expansion pilot. And should a school system be awarded for both models, the funding cap that you see on the screen here will apply. So we've talked through the first half of this, and now I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Erica Stewart to lead us through the rest of the webinar.
Thanks, Rashama. So now that we've talked about the ADSY initiative and the ADSY full year redesign grant opportunity, we're going to take a look at the ADSY summer learning grant opportunity and then close out with some next steps. So a study from the RAND Corporation, which was the most comprehensive study of its kind to date, found that summer programs with specific quality parameters effectively eliminate summer slide. And you can see those quality parameters here on the slide. They're running a no-cost program for 5 to 6 weeks, keeping class sizes small, ensuring certified teachers provide at least 3 hours of academics each day, offering high quality enrichment, and providing transportation and meals at no cost. So the ADSY PEP Summer Grant Program is grounded in this research and these parameters. Over the last 5 years, ADSY PEP Summer has served over 30,000 students statewide each summer. 85 school systems have participated in the program, and we benefited from the support of 11 different state and national partners that have lent their expertise in summer learning to the program. Here we see an overview of the grant participation timeline for the ADSY Summer Pre-K through 5 cohort. So you'll see that in all 3 years of grant participation, school systems will ensure the school board signs off on the ADSY calendar for the next year, completes the summer strategic plan, engages in a program summer site visit each summer, create and share with TEA and other stakeholders a summer program impact report, and apply for continuation funding for the following year for years 1 and 2 of the program. And then year 3 has 3 unique deliverables, all the same deliverables, but then 3 unique deliverables, which are ensuring annual school board sign off of the ADSY calendar. So this just becomes part of what the school system does every year. Creating an ADSY sustainability plan to support ADSY implementation and also ongoing summer program implementation that lives beyond the life of the grant, and then participating in an ADSY PEP exit interview. And then supports that grantees receive every year through the grant are monthly professional development, monthly one-on-one technical assistance, and strategic plan feedback from ADSY PEP summer experts. Here we have an overview of grant funding for the ADSY PEP Summer Pre-K through 5 cohort. You can see the grant funding amount for each year, beginning with $100,000 in year 1, the 26-27 school year, and then scaffolding down to $33,000 in the last grant year, with the same approach as full year with the tapered amount approach, building towards sustainability beyond the grant. And here we have the ADSY PEP 6 through 8 expansion pilot. So for this pilot, deliverables and supports are the same as the pre-K through 5 cohort. The only difference is that the grade 6 through 8 expansion pilot is a 2-year grant commitment versus a 3-year grant commitment. And then as a reminder, the grade 6 through 8 expansion pilot, like full year, is open only to school systems with prior ADSY PEP participation that are seeking to expand to grade 6 through 8. You can see that ADSY summer grant funding totals $125,000 for both years combined. And we anticipate awarding up to 4 spots to ADSY PEP participants that apply and are awarded both full year and summer. And should a school system be awarded both models, the funding cap that you see on the screen will be applied. So that's ADSY Summer. We're going to zoom out a little bit, talk about ADSY PEP requirements for both ADSY PEP Summer and ADSY PEP Full Year. So what we see on the slide here are some key assurances for both full year and summer. So first, your project manager plays a really central role. The project manager will attend all learning community workshops, work closely with your approved provider, and lead your district's ADSY PEP steering committee to really make sure that everything is staying aligned and on track. The steering committee meets at least monthly, includes a variety of folks, but specifically representatives from both the finance and curriculum instruction team, and this team really guides the strategic planning over the course of the year. Throughout the grant, your team will need to attend all required professional development sessions and technical assistance meetings and maintain open communication with your technical assistance provider. One really critical milestone is securing board approval for an ADSY eligible calendar for the 26-27 school year, which is essential for grant eligibility, and then maintaining that ADSY eligible calendar for the duration of the grant. And then finally, remember that the ADSY model requires at least 25 additional days be added to that at least 175 day base instructional calendar, and that commitment also spans the full duration of the grant. Here we see grant requirements that are specific to each model. So we'll look at summer first. So some key requirements for ADSY PEP summer is that school systems agree to place 25 to 30 ADSY days in the summer, that those summer days have at least 6 hours of daily programming with at least 3 hours dedicated to math and reading, 1 hour of TEKS-based enrichment, and then the remaining 2 hours are used for an additional hour of enrichment, and then transition, lunch, and other flexible needs. The school system also agrees to implement a data-driven summer academic strategy, making sure that that strategy is aligned to the regular year academic strategy and aligned to the regular year HQIM. And then if we look at full year, so for full year, school systems also agree to place 25 to 30 ADSY days. The distinction here is that for full year, school systems are ensuring that at least 75% of those days are placed between August and March. So both programs requiring 25 to 30 ADSY days, but a difference in where those days are placed depending on the model. School systems also agree to develop and implement a strategic master scheduling plan that includes brain breaks and enrichment for students. And school systems agree to make strategic shifts that result in a measurable increase in teacher planning time during the implementation years of the grant. And then both models require that academic instruction is delivered by teachers that meet the school system certification requirements. And then the full list of eligibility can be found in the program guidelines for both full year and summer. Here we have the ADSY time commitment. So most of what you see on the left, we covered in the previous slide on assurances, but I want to highlight the responsibilities and time commitments for a couple of the roles on the right. So we saw the project manager and the steering committee on the previous slide, but wanting to highlight the role of the superintendent and the school board. So your superintendent ensures district-wide alignment, and your school board must approve the ADSY calendar each year. And then full details can be found on both the grant one-pager and in the program guidelines. Here we have the ADSY PEP scoring criteria. So we look at the top part of this table, it has the base point allocation. So base points will be allocated in tiers based on the calendar that is submitted, the 25-26 academic calendar that's submitted in the application. So for example, if a school system has a 25-26 academic calendar of 175 days, they would fall into tier 1 and would receive 30 points for their calendar. And then you can see tier 2 and tier 3, the academic calendars that align with those and the number of calendar points that would be allocated for those. And then in addition to the calendar points, 10 additional points may be earned for implementing an IMRA-approved curriculum during the 25-26 school year. Then if we look at the bottom part of the table, so the priority points, so in addition to base points, priority points are also available for using Bluebonnet Learning, prior Strong Foundations implementation completion, having a resource campus designation, for Board of Manager districts or districts with at least 5 years of unacceptable accountability ratings, if a school system has an EPP, established educator preparation program, and if a school system has a teacher incentive allotment system in place. So applicants must receive a minimum of 40 total points, so the base points plus the priority points, to be considered for an interview. And interviews will be prioritized by highest base scores first, followed by total score. The top 45 scoring applicants based on their model and grade level group will be invited to interview, and you can see the groups, the 4 groups here on the screen. And each interview will be scored out of 30 points. And then for full details, you can see page 25 of the ADSY PEP program guidelines. Interview discussions will focus on, you can see it on the left side of the screen, commitment to the ADSY instructional calendar, understanding of the ADSY PEP grant requirements, aligning the grant with the school's strategic priorities, instructional readiness, organizational capacity to engage successfully in the grant, and plans for sustaining the program beyond the grant program. A minimum score of 20 out of 30 points is required to be considered for an award. Final rankings will combine the interview score with the base and priority points that we saw 2 slides ago. And then awards will be made in rank order, beginning with Tier 1 applicants, which were those 175 plus instructional day calendars, followed by Tier 2 and Tier 3 as additional funding remains. We anticipate awarding approximately 35 school systems with the following approximate breakdowns that you can see here. And note that 20 of the 35 awards are expected to be allocated to summer pre-K through 5, with the remaining 15 awards spread across the other cohorts. Approved providers. So grantees will be assigned their technical assistance providers in March of 2026. For ADSY PEP Summer, the approved providers are the regions 1, 11, and 20 education service centers. Grantees statewide will receive supports from one of these 3 regions for ADSY Summer. School systems do not need to be physically in the regions to receive an award or to receive support from one of these 3 ESCs. And then for ADSY PEP Full Year, 1 vendor will be approved for ADSY Full Year, and final vendor selection will be determined prior to the official start of the grant. And then the SAPL webpage is a good resource for additional context and information about approved providers. Okay, so last we'll look at some next steps. So LASO 4 applications opened October 3rd. They closed December 3rd. Some major milestones to be aware of, in addition to the application window. Scoring and interviewing opens December 4th through January 22nd. The eGrants window opens February 3rd through March 5th. This is the window for districts to accept or decline any initiative offerings. And then the NOGA, there's a 60-day window for NOGA issuing. Another reminder that LEAs must submit LASO Cycle 4 applications by December 3rd at 5 p.m. TEA emailed unique application links to LEA superintendents on October 3rd. If needed, LEAs can complete a request for application link form to receive a new link. However, and that's the link that the LEA must use is that Qualtrics link, the unique application link, even though there's a PDF of the application that's posted on the LASO Cycle 4 website. And then applications must be signed by the superintendent to be accepted. If you have any questions coming out of today's session, we encourage you to attend our upcoming office hours. So the TEA ADSY team will be hosting office hours on October 28th from 12 to 12:30. TEA is also offering application support sessions on October 27th and November 3rd. You can register for those sessions using the links in the webinar materials or on the LASO 4 webpage. And then updated FAQs will be posted by November 3rd. Change requests and declines. So LASO has an informal discretionary competitive grant process. Declines and change requests are not advisable. If declines are requested, they will be considered on a case-by-case basis, and they could raise the school system's federal grant risk level in the coming year. So we really encourage you to discuss with your teams the requirements and eligibility for the ADSY PEP grant to determine if it's a good fit now before deciding whether or not to apply to avoid a potential decline or change request as outlined on this slide. For the ADSY PEP grant specifically, we encourage you, if you have not already, to specifically consider your school system's academic calendar for the 26-27 school year and the likelihood of it being ADSY eligible if not already. The process of securing board approval can sometimes be lengthy, and having a board-approved ADSY eligible 26-27 academic calendar is a requirement for grant participation should a school system be awarded. Here is a final overview of key dates and helpful tools to support your planning. All LASO resources, timelines, webinars, planning tools are available at the LASO page. And thank you. So this concludes our official presentation. We're going to stop recording now, and you're welcome to hop off, or you're also welcome to stay on and continue